Okay, so the most disappointing thing about this film is that Hayao Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli didn't make it. Because if you watch it, be honest with yourselves and say, wouldn't that have been amazing if Miyazaki had gotten his hands on this concept? I mean, it would look different, but oh my God, I feel like this is totally up his alley. This is Orion in the Dark. Um, so it's on Netflix. It's an abandoned DreamWorks film. Uh, this is funny. I liked it more than Ruby Gillman, so DreamWorks needs to, I don't know, test screen their films better because Ruby didn't do anything at the box office, so maybe Orion would have done better. It's got Jacob Tremblay, Paul Walter Hauser, Angela Bassett, Carla Gugino, Nat Faxon, just some other voice talent in it going on down the line. It's mainly just Jacob Tremblay and Paul Walter Hauser, though. Jacob Tremblay plays Orion, who is a young boy who's afraid of everything. Literally, he just spends the first part of the film talking about all the things he's afraid of. Everything, like the toilet exploding when he flushes it. Just a whole bunch of like little silly things. This kid is just lives his entire world in fear. So of course, when night comes, the thing he's afraid of is the dark. The dark come. So the dark actually comes in the personification of an animated character voiced by Paul Walter Hauser. And they go on a journey together to try to prove that really cool things can happen at night. And Orion is consistently scared of everything. He doesn't want to look at fireworks because he's afraid that they're gonna like burn out his retinas. He is the most he is that child. He's afraid of everything. And to watch his evolution throughout the course of the film, I was like, man, this conceptually brilliant. Conceptually brilliant. Somebody came up with this idea at some point along the way, whether it was in screenplay format, whether it's adapted from a children's novel. Whoever originally thought of this idea, that person, kudos to you, sir. I would give you a trophy because there's something here. You also get personifications of things like light and sweet dreams and just a whole bunch of like other things that become sort of visible characters to Orion for him to have to deal with. So insomnia as an example. So yeah, it's just there are some other things. Anyway, um and he has to interact with them, and the whole time I was like, could you imagine if Miyazaki had gotten this? How like it wouldn't have been so literal, and it would have been this journey that he would have had somebody go on. It would have been a little bit like Spirited Away, maybe a little bit like Ponyo, his new film, Boy and the Heron, where he has these people sort of go on these quests that there's like a theme to it, there's a reason for it, but it's not necessarily bashing you over the head about it. I think he doing this film would have been astounding. As a second choice, I would have just passed it on to anyone who can do anime, because even something like Suzume, which was not a Studio Ghibli film, I thought that handled a metaphor really well, and it didn't. This just tells you what it is right up front. I mean, there's just no dancing around it, and it kind of falls a little bit flat because it's not as fun or interesting as other films that are really obvious in their themes, like Rise of the Guardians, where you have the personifications of all of those various, Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy and everybody coming in as the Guardians. So it doesn't really work as well as that. It could work as well as that, but it just doesn't. This film just isn't. The screenplay isn't strong enough. The direction isn't strong enough. It just kind of becomes like a middling um, animation film. Um, that I'm really excited for, because I like conceptually want this. I want it to be done by somebody else. I would have loved. Oh my God, would I have loved for Hayao Miyazaki to have somehow gotten his hands on whatever this was at concept stage and been like, I got this. Give this to me. Give me, give me your script. And him just let me like, I'm, you know, um, well, I was gonna make The Boy and the Heron, but this is phenomenal, so I'm gonna make this instead. Yeah, there's something to that where a kid gets to face all these different fears and sort of their own personifications of them, and I think that's really cool. Like he can actually look Bump in the Night in the face, or something. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's I just think it needed an artistic craft to it to make it feel less like what it is, which is just kind of like it just misses the boat. It's not really funny enough. Um, it's just really a conceptually interesting film that's strong from the beginning, that has some moments. It does flash back and forward. It's got Orion as a dad, played by Colin Hanks, telling his daughter in the future this story about this one time when he was afraid of everything. And that at first I didn't really like it because they weren't really doing anything with it. And I was like, this is okay. We're Princess Briding this for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Then they actually do something with it, and it's like, okay, well, fine, but it still is. I don't know. I would have loved to see this thing just get a huge rewrite, a new concept from people who um, really believe in sort of a metaphysical approach to things, and not so obvious. That we can explore something like grief or loss or whatever in a different way. And I think we could have explored fear in a different way and not made it scary for kids either. I'm not saying, although Spirited Away has some imagery in it that I'm sure little ones were like, oh, I don't want to watch this. But yeah, this was just given to the wrong people. I don't know what to say about that. It's still not terrible, and it's less. I think it's a little under an hour and a half. So I would still recommend it, just because conceptually I think it's really strong. I think it makes a lot more sense than like Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken, which was like, what is it that you're trying to say here? Like, what is the point of this film? Um, Meanwhile, this clearly has a strong, like, okay, well, this is what this film is about. And it has some really smart aspects to it. Somebody conceptually thought of something that worked. It just was given to the wrong studio, so much so that they sold it to Netflix. um, and dumped it, got rid of it. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my hot take on Orion in the Dark. The audio description is fine. It's descriptive video works, voiced by Paula Hoffman. And it's funny because I'm used to hearing her do like more adult things and not like with her this is for kid voice. So I was not expecting Paula Hoffman at the end, because it's a much lighter tone that she's put in her voice to narrate it for primarily kids. Um, and But the written description is fine. It, you could always do more, but then again, I don't think this film is doing more. I think this film is exactly what it is, which is the most basic way you could have interpreted this movie. I think Pixar would have done a better job with this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. DreamWorks used to make excellent animation, and then they became like one of two animation houses at Universal, between DreamWorks and Illumination. and I don't know what's happening with them anymore. You know, I just, between the two, are they not like, who's on top? Are they allowed to you know, fight? Are they fighting for scraps? Like, I don't know what's happening with over there structure wise, but I just know that DreamWorks now combined against Illumination is not quite putting out the kind of material that they used to either. So, and Illumination stuff has never had the emotional depth to it. Um, it's kind of been the point of Illumination. It not what they do isn't fun, but they've always been the fun studio. But DreamWorks has managed to have stuff like How to Train Your Dragon that actually has emotional weight to it. This doesn't feel like it's made by anybody who knew what they were doing. This film feels like it was made by people who were just like, does anybody know what the script's about? Nah. All right, let's do it. And I totally got the script, and I was like, I got the concept, and I was like, damn it, why isn't this being adapted by people who understand what they're doing? I even think like I love Paul Walter Hauser, right? I think his terrible voice choice for Dark. Like, he came across as like, we couldn't get Seth Rogen, so we got Paul Walter Hauser. um, I much rather would have preferred something else for that role, something that actually felt like Dark. You know what I'm saying? That felt like a creepier voice that we warmed up to over the course of the film. You know, so that way it's more of that like first looks or can be deceiving type of thing, instead of this, well, here's, I actually thought it was Seth Rogen at first, and then later on, after once I was listening to it long enough, I was like, this is not Seth Rogen. This is, who is this? I was like, this is Paul Walter. And then afterwards, when I IMDb'd it, I was like, it's Paul Walter. um, yeah. So it does kind of feel like that. The only person who I really, if I had to give like an achievement for the whole voice cast, I thought Angela Bassett, but she's really underutilized here. But much more along the lines of kind of what I was looking for in terms of voice cast. Anyway, there's a lot of promise in this film, and I don't want to hate on it too much because I do believe that it could have been so much better. Under the right hands, I feel like Orion in the Dark would have won Best Animated Feature. I'm making that bold of a prediction. I think that what is in here, like the meat of it, the little clay ball, the original concept, is so strong that under the right director, absolutely Best Animated Feature. Definitely an Oscar nominee, but probably Best Animated Feature under the right. I think Studio Ghibli easily could have taken this, rewritten it, stripped it apart, kept the concept about a kid who's afraid of everything, and then having to conquer his fears, starting with Dark, and then taking this journey throughout the night, and taking that core concept and really doing something with it. But as it is, it's a fine film. I don't think your kids will be scared of it. It plays way too much to them instead of away from them. It's not a creepy film if you're worried about your kids. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is creepier than this. This is pretty aimed at a child audience. So don't be afraid. They purposely go out of their way to get people in the voice cast like Paul Walter Hauser and Nat Faxon and some of those other people who sound goofy. Baron Holtz, you know, so that it doesn't sound scary. But it should have been. You know, Coraline has been widely accepted as a classic, and Coraline absolutely goes there. So if you do it right, there's another studio that could have really done it. Leica would have done amazing with this. Anyway, I don't know what happened with this film, but I'm going to give Orion in the Dark a C+. I think of it as C+ because I acknowledge the fact that it's better than Ruby Gilman, which I gave a C. So, I think at the end of the year, Orion in the Dark is just not going to be on my top 10 animated list. It'll be probably my number one missed opportunity list, and a list I don't make, but like, damn, this is conceptually a strong film, but wow, totally in the wrong hands. Um, anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Please keep subscribing, and find more subscribers. Go get more. Go get more subscribers. Anyway, I have a website, MacMovieGuy.com. You can follow me on X Threads or Instagram at MacMovieGuy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org, to let you know what has audio description, where you can watch it. And you can go to the ADNA.org. That's the ADNA.org, to let you know who's narrating your favorite films and television series. That's it for me today. Watch something else and see you guys on the other side.